Welcome back. Good afternoon. Thanks for staying tuned. Still 91.3 Nigeria Info. Here in Port Harcourt, I'm Dyer 13 and gone past 4 p.m. And conversation continues. Once again, thanks for staying tuned. The matter we'll discuss it next is one that's generating a lot of controversy at the moment. And the question seems, well, it may not be simple, but it definitely is straightforward. Who gets the Ibori loot or the repatriated Ibori loot? Some of it coming back already, some being expected in the future. Who's to get it is the question that a lot of persons are talking about right now. Many in Delta State, at the National Assembly, at different quarters, lawyers are weighing in. Groups and organizations, NGOs, ranked activists are also weighing in on the subject matter. SERAP is included as well. Well, here's the headline from the Daily Post. Ibori's loot should be used for Delta victims, SERAP tells FG. Now, here's that story. The Social Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, has kicked against the disbursement of the £4.2 million recovered from the former governor of Delta State, James Ibori, for construction of roads. Recall that the Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami, during the signing of the Memorandum of Understanding between the UK and Nigeria, said that the funds will be used to finance the second Niger Bridge, Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, and Abuja-Kano Expressway. Now, SERAP, in a statement released on Wednesday, said the loot should be used for the direct benefit of the victims of corruption in Delta State. Part of the statement read, quote, the Ibori loot estimated to be £100 million, including the planned return of £4 million, should be used for the direct benefit of the victims of corruption in Delta State. And the rights group has vowed to take legal action to ensure victims are not denied justice. We'll pursue appropriate legal action to ensure the victims are not denied justice and remedies, the statement read. Now, joining me via phone for this conversation this time from Lagos is Deputy Director SERAP, Kóláwolé Olúwádàre. Kola, good evening to you. You're welcome to Hard Facts.
Yeah, good evening, Dyer. Happy to speak there.
Pleasure's mine. Always a pleasure to have you on the show. Let's get straight to it, Kola. So, who should get this money, really? I'd like to imagine that there is a precedent here with whenever it's not the first time that the country is getting looted funds being repatriated from some country or the other. So, by that said, there must be a precedent. What has been the precedent in the past when such monies are repatriated to the country?
We've had precedents before now in various shapes. We've had the one from Bayelsa State, from the former governor of Bayelsa State. And we've had the one, we've had series, if I may call it that. That is what we termed as the actually, which, as we've come to find out, is yet to be concluded. Is coming in streams. As a matter of fact, in 1999, they get a series of recoveries. So there is precedent of recovery and there is precedent for the use. But one thing that is very clear is the absence of a specific legal framework, which would have been proper to guide the use of this funds, and that would take the form of the proceeds of crime bill, which, of course, is yet to be passed, at least from the 8th National Assembly up till now. But on the various arguments given to us, really, looking at the present legal framework that we have, and even common sense, and we can call it logic if we will, it stands to reason that these funds should go to the people of Delta State. And they have a government and the mechanisms to put that to use, which of course the federal government can leverage on. But definitely, it belongs to the people of Delta State.
Now, when similar funds were repatriated in the past, especially funds belonging, stolen directly from state government coffers, what happened to those funds?
It was that instance, the one we've seen in Bayelsa, where the funds were returned and they used as a sort of call it palliative, even though the COVID was not there to the people of that state.
Right, now, I think a very critical part of this conversation is, and not just now, even before now, the person the primary subject in question, and that's James Ibori here, former governor of Delta State, has not been found guilty of committing a crime in Nigeria. I believe even in Delta State as well, he's more or less treated as a statesman. If you ask the Delta State government today, if the former governor James Ibori stole money from the state's coffers or stashed away money illegally overseas, it's not unlikely that the response you will get from the Delta State government is no, and maybe even a cross section of Delta people as well. So if, according to the Delta State government, no money is missing from their coffers, and more especially, the former governor James Ibori did not steal money from the state's coffers, and that means they're not crying foul. So why should they be expecting money that was not stolen, in quotes?
This kind of sentiment would lead Nigeria nowhere, and it would not help us either in the short run or in the long run. Which is why the best approach to this kind of issue is the legal approach. There are legal frameworks that guide this. And one of those principal instruments which Nigeria has signed on to is the convention, United Nations Convention Against Corruption, which Nigeria has signed on to by today. And this is one of the mechanisms leveraged on, even by the Nigerian government in the various discussions and negotiations with those countries where the these stolen loots are stored, including the ones that we're talking about now, the Ibori loots and the Abacha loots. And there are clear provisions under the UNCAC for how these recovered loots are to be used. And so, who are the victims? They're the people of Delta State. One, we can look at it. Let's look at it from this context.
Okay.
2007. It is a specific time in the period of the state. An investigation will show that these funds, no, we don't need investigation to establish this anyway. He was the governor of the state. So naturally, these monies were stolen in his capacity as governor, not as president or a minister or a member of the National Assembly of the Federal Republic. The funds were stolen as a governor, which means investigations could easily trace where these funds have come from. So it does not matter whether in the past there have been issues joined on whether we stole money from Delta State or not. But now that is clear that the funds are very repatriated back, we need a logical reasoning and a concise legal framework to guide our activities, and not sentiment or tribal politics or what have you. And that is why the legal framework of UNCAC dictates what should be done in this regard. And applying logical reasoning, like I've mentioned, the money was stolen when he was the governor, of Delta State. The case of Abacha is different. Abacha was the president of Nigeria, military dictator at that time. So the money was stolen from Nigeria. That is understandable. But in this context, the money belongs to the people of Delta State. Mind you, there were budgets in place year in, year out, during the period of 1999 and 2007, where he was the governor. There are specific items budgeted for that these funds also are used for, which of course haven't been utilized for. And I can assure you, people suffer because of that lack of not implementing those funds for what they are meant for, and for the students themselves. Yes, it may be hard to locate the specifics of the people that suffer for this, but those funds would have been meant for roads, hospitals, education, various things, which were not done. So naturally, when these funds are recovered, it stands to reason that it should go back to the people of Delta State. And any other reasoning that says that there have been things said in the past that said the money was not stolen, their son did not steal money, really, it's just plain just net sentiment and will not help anybody in the long run. Particularly, it may set a dangerous precedent for this kind of delicate situation.
Now,
it would be another thing, Dio.
Okay.
If we are talking about mechanisms to make sure that these funds are well utilized, it's a separate matter.
No, it's interesting you said that, because that's exactly where I was going to next. Now, there is no doubt that former governor James Ibori stole money. It's no longer alleged. As a matter of fact, he's an ex-convict because he was convicted of having stolen the funds. So there's no doubt in our minds, at least in your mind and my mind, that happened. But if the authority in Delta State, or the authorities in Delta State, still insist that he did not steal money, or as you put it, our son did not steal money, shouldn't there be concerns then as to what even there, if the money gets to them, what they are going to do with it, considering that their convicted son was, of course, convicted of having stolen money, and they still hold him in very high esteem that their son, who has been convicted, did not steal money. What is likely to happen to that money when they, if or when they lay their hands on it?
I can tell you that statement is mere speculation. It is speculation. And who is the person supposedly speaking for the people of Delta State anyway, to say that the entirety of Delta State saying that no money was stolen? Again, logic should prevail and not sentiment, which will not help us either in the short term or in the long term. What we need to do, and what the federal government needs to do, is to set up clear transparency and accountability mechanisms to ensure that these funds do not end up the way they left the country in the first place. And they are well utilized for specific projects, and I dare say, identified capital projects in the state. And by way of further investigation, there are paper trails that show how this money left the country in the first place. So any kind of due diligence can be done to ascertain the specific areas that this money was stolen from, and then can be easily applied to those areas. So the people of Delta State are the direct victims of the looting of this stolen funds, and they should be beneficiaries, irrespective of whoever is saying, who I don't know, by the way, that there was no money stolen. At least we have physical evidence, incontrovertible that money that were recovered that left the coffers of Delta State, not Nigeria, mind you, and that needs to be repatriated back.
The Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami, did say that the funds will be used to finance the second Niger Bridge, Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, and the Abuja-Kano Expressway as well. Maybe Deltans were the ones who lost directly from the monies being stolen. However, Deltans are also Nigerians. Deltans, no doubt, some Deltans, no doubt, will at some point traverse or use the second Niger Bridge. Deltans, no doubt, will also at some point in the past, now, and in the future use the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. Deltans, no doubt as well, will at some point also use the Abuja-Kano Expressway. So the same way, similar repatriated funds have been used for projects generally or infrastructure that will improve the quality of lives of all Nigerians. Is it such a terrible idea if this repatriated funds is also used to improve the quality of all Nigerians that no doubt at least some Deltans are also going to benefit from somewhere or another?
I beg to disagree, and my answer will be in the negative, and for two reasons. One is that since the origin of the stolen funds are clearly known, naturally and logically, we should go back to those victims. And I've said before, as I've mentioned before, this is clearly provided for by the On-Track Convention. That's particularly looking at that 51 and Section 57, Subsection 1. That is clear enough. And then, secondly, and most importantly, this second Niger Bridge and the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, they are what the federal government has said they're utilizing the last tranche of Abacha lease for, which is part of the statement we put out in a tweet by SERAP. SERAP has taken the initiative last year to write an FY, 2019 rather, to write an FY to the president, copying the Attorney General, asking for specifics of recovered loot from 1999 to date, particularly the ones recovered by this administration from 2016 to 2020 last year. And we got a curious response after we had even filed the case in court from the Attorney General, stating that these funds are meant to be utilized for second Niger Bridge. It's just logical in a participatory government. Now, the government should tell us the amount that has been budgeted for these three projects. I'm talking about the second Niger Bridge, Lagos and the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway and the Abuja-Kano Expressway. How much has been disposed and spent of those?
At GP Flow, considering that Deltans have previously declared that they would any money and even went ahead to throw a lavish welcome party for him when he returned from the prison, so I think LG should use the cash for critical projects which affect Nigeria. At Otto_Udoakman, the money is for Delta State government, let the governor decide what to use the money for. To Isaac World Twitter, the money was for the people of Delta State in the first place, so FG shouldn't do otherwise. Hello, Hard Factor. Okay.
Hello, Dayo.
Hello, go ahead.
Good afternoon.
Go ahead.
Yes, like this issue of data safety is a very simple issue. Just like, for example, in your studio there, somebody came and steal a mic in your studio there, and you know that mic belongs to Nigeria Info. And maybe the federal government is building a radio station somewhere. They say they want to use that mic there. It doesn't happen like that. They have to return it back to where.
What if Nigeria Info's management says no mic was stolen from our studio?
That one is a different ball game now. Because if they need the money for, they should apply for a loan to Delta State that they need the money. And since they are applying the loan to all those projects, they should apply a loan to the Delta State government that they need the money, not to just say that they want to use the money for that project. That money belongs to Delta State government. So that's my own decision.
All right. Hello, 913.
Hello, good afternoon.
Go ahead.
Yes. If a governor says that there's no money missing in Delta State account, does that mean that the governor is speaking on behalf of every Delta person? It's just like what the governor did in Sokoto, donating money in Sokoto Rivers people. He donated that money on behalf of Rivers people, but Rivers people here reacted that such a thing is not supposed to be done. So was it truly on behalf of Rivers people? They should return the money to Delta State. Thank you.
All right. Hello, 913.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good evening, go on.
Yeah, good evening. This is Honorable Presidency. I'm calling from Port. Let me talk about this. Federal government at times there is a way they behave as if they are all and all. Since they have been prosecuting this man, Ibori, what we have been hearing is Ibori stolen better money. Now, they have confirmed that the money belongs to Delta State. Why can't they return back that money back to Delta State? I'm looking for my child, and you saw my child somewhere. Instead of you to blame my child, you started claiming that is he your child? It's my child. But return the money back to them. Federal government, they want to steal. Are they among the police stealing? Are they among the people that stole the money? And the police have answered question about that money. Let them return. Even if I give that money back to the one that suffers about it.
All right, great to hear from you, 913. Hello.
Hello, Dayo.
All right, go ahead.
Good afternoon, Dayo. Hector.
Hello.
Yeah, Hector.
Go ahead.
Now, according to your guest, let us approach this matter logically, instead of sentiment. I think your guest is right. So I've already sent WhatsApp message, but this is different speaking altogether.
Go ahead, please. Go ahead.
Okay. Now, somebody make an example with your studio. The mic lost in your studio.
Yeah.
Then now, you now said that mic was not stolen. Your mic was not stolen in your studio. And later they found the mic. You now said that they should give you the mic. Does it make sense? So, in essence, what am I trying to say? The Delta State government should prove that money was stolen. It was their money. Because this same government said that the police did not steal money in the state. And they celebrated the return from the people. So, why are they in Nigeria that money belongs to the state? They should prove to the world that the money was stolen. The Delta State money that was stolen by the police. Thank you.
All right. Caller, I have to ask you a question, but taken from the last caller's statement and a commenter via WhatsApp as well. Your guest just prevaricated an answer to one of your questions. If the money gets to Delta State, it will be returned to Ibori's single treasury account. I don't know about that. But then again, how do you return something stolen to someone who has not reported that something was stolen? For example, like the question or the analogy a previous caller gave, the microphone is stolen in our studio here at Nigeria Info, and if the microphone is found, should the microphone to be taken to the federal government's one of the federal government-owned radio stations? And I asked him a question which he didn't answer. What if Nigeria Info did not report a stolen microphone, and the microphone is found, and our management insists that no microphone was stolen from any of our studios? Do you just return the microphone to us nonetheless? So if the Delta State government insists that no money was stolen by James Ibori from the state's coffers, how do you return a stolen item to someone who insists that nothing was stolen?
Dial. Number one, the analogy is not complete, and then it will be inapplicable. There might be instances where it was your private property that was missing in the studio, and then the management of Nigeria will want to speak for you until you find out that, no, this might belong to me. And in that regard, whatever statement that the Nigerian management has made will not represent yours, because it might not be there in the first place. Which brings the question, who is speaking on behalf of the Delta people? Is that the old? Can we say that represents the views of the entirety of the people? And does he have that mandate to speak in that manner and conclusively? That is the first thing. And then the second question, Zion, which is very important.
Yeah.
In which capacity did Mr. Ibori serve Nigeria, where he could have stolen those funds in the first place? Was it the president? Was it the vice president? Was he a minister? Or perhaps a member of the National Assembly? No, he was the governor of a state. And if he has been found guilty of stealing funds, and the funds have been recovered, it stands to reason the funds could only have been stolen from Delta State, unless you want to tell me that he stole federal government funds when he was not elected, either as a president or as a public officer in the federation, but as a member of the state. And these two reasons, when you put them side by side, that statement that no money was stolen could at best be mischievous and not represent the true intent of either the facts on ground or the people of Delta State. And this kind of reasoning would only lead to mischief and not the logic of reparations to victims of crime. In this instance, the people of Delta State, who should have gotten good roads, portable water, healthcare, affordable healthcare, education and schools, those are the people that need this sort, not the spectacle or the sentiments of nobody stole anything. That is very important. The victims and the citizens of Delta State should be paramount in this instance.
All right, via WhatsApp. Good evening. Federal government should give back the money to the Delta State because it's the tax money of the residents of Delta State. If peradventure some persons in the state claim Ibori did not steal any funds, should it affect all Delta State citizens? Please, the money should return to the rightful owner, and they should stop playing logic for justice and peace to prevail. That's Mark Wood Harcourt. A quick break beckons right now. I'll return shortly. Conversation will continue with my guest. Do please stay with us.
Connect with your customers. Advertise on 92.3 Nigeria Info. Visit our downtown office at Shop 9, Mediatrix of All Gracies Plaza, opposite FIRS, Stadium Road, Port Harcourt, and book your commercials. Call 0817 001 8162. That is 0817 001 8162. And let us connect you to your customers.
We crossfire in the morning. Crossfire in the morning. Get into the midday dialogue and tell you about the hard facts, and then let's talk into the chat station. All for you on 92.3 Nigeria Info. We crossfire in the morning. Crossfire in the morning. Get into the midday dialogue and tell you about the hard facts, and then let's talk into the chat station. All for you on 92.3 Nigeria Info. We crossfire in the morning. Crossfire in the morning. Get into the midday dialogue and tell you about the hard facts, and then let's talk into the chat station. All for you on 92.3 Nigeria Info. We crossfire in the morning. Crossfire in the morning. Get into the midday dialogue and tell you about the hard facts, and then let's talk into the chat station. All for you on 92.3 Nigeria Info. We crossfire in the morning. Crossfire in the morning. Get into the midday dialogue and tell you about the hard facts, and then let's talk into the chat station. All for you on 92.3 Nigeria Info. We crossfire in the morning. Crossfire in the morning. Get into the midday dialogue and tell you about the hard facts, and then let's talk into the chat station. All for you on 92.3 Nigeria Info. We crossfire in the morning. Crossfire in the morning. Get into the midday dialogue and tell you about the hard facts, and then let's talk into the chat station. All for you on 92.3 Nigeria Info. We crossfire in the morning. Crossfire in the morning. Get into the midday dialogue and tell you about the hard facts, and then let's talk into the chat station. All for you on 92.3 Nigeria Info. We crossfire in the morning. Crossfire in the morning. Get into the midday dialogue and tell you about the hard facts, and then let's talk into the chat station. All for you on 92.3 Nigeria Info. We crossfire in the morning. Crossfire in the morning. Get into the midday dialogue and tell you about the hard facts, and then let's talk into the chat station. All for you on 92.3 Nigeria Info. We crossfire in the morning. Crossfire in the morning. Get into the midday dialogue and tell you about the hard facts, and then let's talk into the chat station. All for you on 92.3 Nigeria Info. We crossfire in the morning. Crossfire in the morning. Get into the midday dialogue and tell you about the hard facts, and then let's talk into the chat station. Hard Facts with Diode.
Welcome back to the Hard Facts, 90.3 Nigeria Info and her input Hackett. I'm Diode. that's 17 minutes to go before 5 p.m. When the news update comes up, a conversation continues. Ibori's loot should be used for data victims, SERAP tells the federal government, as SERAP has kicked against the disbursement of the £4.2 million recovered from the former governor of Delta State, James Ibori, for construction of roads. Once again, I'm joined via phone by Deputy Director of SERAP, Kóláwolé Olúwádàre. Kola, you're welcome once again.
Thank you very much, Diane.
You're welcome to join the conversation right now. Lines are open 0817 93 0002 or 0003 0817 93 0002. Facebook.com/Nigeria InfoPH. We are live on Twitter at Nigeria InfoPH also. Via Facebook, pardon me, many Godspower goes, to me, let the FG use the money to send to people's accounts in order to reduce the hardship caused by COVID-19. Agumba Agba goes, for me, why are we crying? More than the bereaved. If the government said no money was stolen, which means Delta State has no need for the money. The government speaks for all Deltans. Only if the people of Delta protested on the speech of the government, then impeach them, then the money should be returned to Delta State. And mind on the application of Niger Bridge, Railway, Nigerians should know projects and how much has been spent. It is. We cannot continue to apply funds until Musa Abdullahi from Emiru Eliagbolo said in. To the phone line. You're welcome, go on.
I think to me this is very simple as ABC. Even if the data government has no money missing, and then the British government who will cover, and then who then is for it in their country say the money will recover for the man. And since he's not work for federal government, he's not work as a minister, no a senator, no anybody. He work with the state government, he work in the data set, not even the federal. So it's very simple. It's okay, data as a government.
You're welcome. Kola, just a while ago, you were talking about the federal government setting up a proper framework as to how recovered funds are going to be expended. The caller was talking about the federal government monitoring how the money is going to be spent. Is that within the purview of the federal government monitoring how Delta State or any other state for that matter expend its resources, and especially in this case, repatriated stolen funds?
The federal government can, within the context of being of the federation that we practice. But what the federal government cannot do is dictate the specific use of those funds. But the federal government can set up the mechanism for how whatever use is going to be applied for, as dependent by the people of Delta State through the governor, will ensure that the funds are applied judiciously and it is transparent and it is government accountable. But the federal government cannot dictate the use, but create mechanisms to be sure that the people are carried along and the funds are spent transparent. They are two different things.
All right. Hello, 973.
Good evening, there.
Good evening, go on.
Sunday from Akwa. Okay, quick one. For the issue of Delta State, there are two sides to it. You know, before this money, there was a $50 million that was given to Ribado by West. He claimed Ibori gave it to him that time. Eventually, back and forth, Delta denied. So is SERAP saying now that $15 million should have returned back to Delta government when they denied they didn't give the money to Ribado that time as bribe? Reality is, if you return the money back to Delta State that have claimed that their money is not missing, they will just return that money with interest back to Ibori because they've not claimed their money is missing. If Delta State can take Ibori to court and convince him for stealing their money, then they will be entitled to that money. That money could have been from, just like we have cases now of campaign funds shared from federal government that Olisametu and others are facing trials for. Probably this money also came from something like that from federal government. Since Delta is saying they've not lost any money. So it's difficult to claim that it's only Delta's money that came into Ibori's account. It could be from federal government for whatever reason. So until Delta can take Ibori to court.
In what way would the federal government's money have landed in Ibori?
That's what they've been doing all along. If you check the number, Fayoshe collected 5.something billion for his election. It came from federal government. So if you follow the cases of the EFCC against most of these guys, they got money from federal government, some even directly from CBN from what we read in newspapers. So it could be from federal government. If Delta State can charge Ibori to court, that, okay, we check our records, you stole this amount and is convicted, then they can trace that money to this 4.2, then federal government should return the money to Delta. But if they cannot prosecute him for stealing money in Delta, and they claim the money does not belong to them, they don't have any missing money, then there's no justification to return the money to Delta. Maybe other state governors will learn from things like this. Instead of stealing your people's money and keeping it somewhere else, use the money for the state. Because eventually if you are caught, the money will not come back to your people, except your people are ready to say, okay, yes, he stole our money, and charge him to court in that state. And if you take all the governors in Delta, the story is that Ibori is like their godfather. So if you return the money to Delta, I'm sure they will take that money back to him. In fact, we've been checked for since 2002 that the money the case has been on. So for me, we're just trying to hide under one finger to claim what is not real. We know the situation in Delta. We know the stories around it. Claiming that Delta government, federal government cannot monitor, you give it to Delta. To do what?
All right, great you have for me. Now, Kola, I've got a question here, but I think maybe I'll read a message via WhatsApp first. In my opinion, it would be totally unfair for the federal government to decide what happens to the money because the money was never theirs. Delta State should receive what's rightfully theirs, irrespective of the opinion of any governor. That's Samuel for my one. Now, Kola, you said earlier that if the federal government decides what happens to this money, and it doesn't go back to Delta State, we're setting a wrong precedent. What could be the consequence of that going forward?
This is within the context of the specific legal framework of management of recovered assets in Nigeria. We all know the history of the proceeds of crime deal and the various issues we've seen with the chairman of the EFCC and the Attorney General based on the management of recovered assets. So when this kind of precedent is set without a clear, logical directive as to why the money should go to the federal government, it sets a precedent for whatever recovery that is made in the future, either from this same Delta State or from other governors or public officers in Nigeria, which is why there needs to be that framework as to who should get the funds. And the application of these two points to Delta State, the victims must be prioritized. What the federal government has just done is no reason, no explanation, no logical position, no law that backs that. It's just for the federal government to say, you know what, we are getting these funds back from the UK and we are throwing it into these 3 person projects. That is not fair. That is not fair. That's the dangerous.
So is that the issue? What if the federal government presents a reason why it is holding on to the funds? Could that be a plausible reason?
We've not asked that. We've not seen that. And even we have made a case that this same second Niger bridge, Lagos and Kano Abuja has swallowed some big chunks of the Abacha funds recovered. So that is not transparent enough. Why should we throw this third tranche in these 3 projects? It is we have not had any explanation, whether satisfactory or otherwise, from the federal government. Why again by the federal government?
We've another call or two and we'll wrap it up. Hello, hard fact to welcome.
Hello.
Hi, go ahead.
Good evening. My name is Obunikin. For me, there's not too much argument about the money. The money belongs to Niger Delta. The money belongs to Niger Delta. Let the federal government use that money to complete this first road. The money belongs to Niger Delta people.
All right, great to hear from you. Hard fact 913.
Hello, Dayo.
All right, go ahead.
Thank God for your guest. Your guest has said it all. I listened to Falana yesterday. The $15 million they are talking about. It's not that Delta State government denying. No. Falana said it was part of that process. That $15 million was when Odua was there. That they collected that fund from the port. And he's denying that there was nothing of such. But in terms of this other matter, Delta State government never did anything about it. They did not even deny. So when people are using that to extent, it needs to clear the air.
Yes, but if you don't claim it, it's as good as saying it didn't happen. Yes, the government may not have put forth an official statement saying that we don't know about the money. But also, if you don't officially claim the money, it's as good as saying we don't know anything about it.
I agree on that aspect, but do you know how this whole matter started? E.K. Clark, according to Falana, E.K. Clark was the one who started this whole thing. And that man is the elder in Delta from Oceanic Bank that is closed now. It was the person that raised this alarm that this man has stolen from our port. So federal government go after him. It was a passenger versus him and Ribadu. So it is not even the very federal government or the one of good luck. It started from new Ribadu. So people should try to understand this. Bring back that money to Delta State. It does not belong to federal government.
Great to hear from you. Final question. If the federal government insists on going ahead with expending the money, what's going to be SERAP's position?
As we have put out in our public statement, we are considering options of going to court to enforce the right of the victims. Again, the victims of these crimes, who are the people of Delta State, who have not had the roads they should have, the quality shoulder. The quality healthcare system is the shoulder. And those are the people we are considering when we approach the courts to make our case.
And we'll wrap it up on that note. Thanks for joining the conversation, especially my guest is joined via phone from Lagos, Kóláwolé Olúwádàre is Deputy Director with SERAP. Kola, pardon me. Many thanks for your time.
Thank you very much, sir.
We've got the news updates coming up right now, top of the hour at 5 o'clock. And when I return, in the wake of some development here in Port Harcourt, River State, what should victims of rape or defilement do to ensure that they're able to present evidence in court to securing justice? I'll be speaking with a FIDA representative on the subject matter when I return from the break and the person of just a moment. I'll be speaking with Esther Achok Orienta from FIDA when I return. Please stay with us.